Good evening and welcome to YouTube Blaze with InterFace Gambia showing on BenTV. Today with me on the show I have Osei, Caroline and Jenny. These ladies are going to be joining me in discussing a very important topic about young people. YouTube Blaze is a show that has been put together by InterFace Gambia for young people. Its aim is to empower young people and just to encourage young people through other people's experiences and how they have started and where they started from in life and how they got to where they are now, just to empower and encourage somebody out there who will be watching just how to basically be motivated and push yourself forward into getting to a better place in life. Today's topic, ladies, is: are young people taking responsibilities for their actions? Where do we draw the line? Do we blame society? Do we blame our parents? Do we blame ourselves? Who is responsible for a person, basically you yourself? And what I mean is, for instance, say you were going to school or you were going to college or whatever you're doing in life, and you got stuck at some point because maybe the support was not there. You were not getting, the support, the involvement that you expect to get from people around you to help you. Who then do you blame if you don't achieve a better result in life? So I will throw that question first. Osei, I will let you. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you for having me on your show. I think it's the individual, young people, parents and society. They all have factors of a young person being, failure or not being what they want to be in society. Because as I always say, parents has a big responsibility of helping their kids to develop to their maximum potentials, and every child has that potential. And I think one thing we have to remember as well, each and every one individual are different. Some need more help, some people need a little help, but identifying that need is the key point. Because you can have 2-3 kids and they all have different needs, and as you said, in schools or in community, a teacher is having to look after a couple of kids, and then if the teacher hasn't spotted that, and then the parents at home as well haven't noticed there's a problem with the child, because sometimes some kids have learning difficulties, and the parents wouldn't realize that until the teacher tells them, oh, I think your kids have learning difficulties. And that because the parents haven't spent that quality
paying
attention to their upbringing of the kids. It's not just giving them food, clothing them, taking them to school, and you leave all the rest to the teachers or to the society to bring up your kids. You have to spend that quality time with your child to know what they are capable of and where they're heading, and what you can do as a parent to help them, to push them to their maximum potential.
So basically your line is the investment that parents have to put into their children to get out of that. Okay, I understand the fact of investing into your child, but my main point when I think of this question, or when I think about this topic that we're discussing here, it's if all of that fails, then who then still takes the responsibilities? Because we know in our community, in our society, and even now in this generation, that a lot of parents don't take up the responsibility as a parent to say, okay, this is my child, I need to make sure that I'm not just clothing and feeding you, but I'm also making sure that every aspect of your life, it's okay. Now, we do have some parents out there who then would still do that, and we have found that some kids who then still have those parents still end up sometimes not making it in life or achieving what you would expect them to achieve, because you're saying they have everything, they were provided with everything. but then again there is still a factor of what happens. Maybe what that child needs, just like you were saying, was not located, and so therefore there was no input in that area, and so that child has. So I will go to Caroline. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I think I agree with her because as a parent myself, when I look at my own upbringing and looking at my kids, I sometimes can't believe it, because for me, I am a tough one. When I was growing up, I think I needed a little bit more. And at one point, I remember when I was in year 9, going to school and coming back home, and my dad is like, "Oh, what happened today in school?" You know, because I was fighting and other things, and then they sent me back home because of that reason. But there was something I was lacking that they could not outline, and that caused a little bit of setback. I won't say failure, setback in my life, because if it was identified before then I would have been where I am now a little bit earlier, maybe 5-10 years back. So I think it's parents, but also, you know, growing up, and their aunties, their uncles, their other people also that should pick up the responsibility as well, because in Africa we do believe it's not a one man's job or just the parents. Everybody else can, you know, input on how a child should turn out. So that too is another aspect. But looking at it, well, if you're thrown outside there to find your own way, to fend for yourself, then, you know, you turn to God and just believe. And that's what happened to me. When I was 16, you know, because of my stubbornness, I had to fend for myself. And because of God and His, you know, guidance, I am here today, and I'm able to achieve many things that so many people didn't think I could. So it's parents and everything else. But if you don't have that, I think the most important thing to do is, you know, look at yourself and just do it yourself. That's it.
And that's exactly my point, because I say if all of these things fail, parents, society, the community, you then have to look at yourself and say, this is how my upbringing was, but I don't want this for the generation I would then bring up. So what changes can I make? You know, with me personally as well, it happened that same way for me. It's like I had two options. I could have gone the wrong way or go the right way. So which way do you go? And I chose, you know what, I need to make something good out of myself. I need to be able to look back in my life and say, you know what, it was hard, but where I am now, I can accept what I went through. And I particularly don't, maybe it's just how I am. I don't really think of it like, okay, I'm holding a grudge, you know, when it comes to society or family or parents or stuff like that. I just feel like, okay, I find myself in this situation, now what do I do? It's easier said than done, and back then I did not, you know, it wasn't easy for me to say, okay, what do? I need to make a clean break for myself. But I think making those hard decisions kind of help you to just focus and then put the responsibility on yourself as an individual and say, you know what, this is my life. At the end of the day, I'm gonna grow up one day anyway. I'm gonna not be staying with my parents. I'm not gonna be, you know, having to depend on society all the time. And that's where, when it comes to me, that's where I'm thinking the bottom line should be. So we'll hear from Jenny now. What is your...
Personally, I think is the individual. Like, you could say, oh, my parents didn't provide this, my parents didn't provide that. Some of the people out there, their parents provide them with what they need, and they still end up the wrong way. Like, it's not what you're, at the end of the day, when you start making your money or you start getting what, you are not going to say, oh, my parents taught me this. It was you yourself, you worked hard for it. And plus, with education, is like, your parents are not going to come, most of our parents are from like different countries, and they come here they didn't get the opportunity that we have. Like they didn't get the chance to finish their education, so we have that opportunity. Most of the stuff, like you bring them maths work, they don't know how to solve it, so you have to work as an individual to get where you are. So because your mom don't know how to solve it, or your dad don't know how to solve it, that doesn't mean you're not going to do your homework, because no, you're going to try and figure it out and do it so that you know improve on yourself. I think it's the individual. And also I'm going to blame the society, because now, like, if my child was to do something wrong, I can't really train them the way that I'm meant to, because the society have it as child abuse, child child this, child that, like call the line, exactly, child protection, you can't do this, like, that's stopping parents from training their children. Nowadays the parents are more a friend to their kids than parents. Like, they need to stop acting like a friend and start being a parent to their kids.
But I think that's the fear of being governed by a society where it's like, okay, there's a rule and a regulation for everything that you do. So most parents find it that it's easier to just be a friend to my child. So even if they were going to do something, let's say they were in a relationship with a guy and they were going to have an intimate relationship with that guy, then my child can come and talk to me. By my child coming to talk to me, I can then say, oh, okay, why don't we go to the clinic, and maybe protection would be a better way. So it's always trying to solve the problem instead of actually not solve the problem, it's trying to kind of keep the problem within a safer zone. But then it does get out of control, because your child then does not see you as a parent. Instead, they see you as a friend. And with a friend, there are certain boundaries and limits and things that you can do. And with a parent, there are also certain boundaries and limits and things that you can do. So it's hard, especially where we are now, being in the UK. I know back in Africa as well, nowadays there are a lot of things that have changed. Things are happening that when you look at it, you're thinking, when I was growing up, I would never do this.
No, it's true.
It will not happen. So
you was as Jenny was saying about your parent not knowing how to do the maths, but being there, just knowing, even though you don't know what you're doing, but just being,
but showing support.
You encourage the child. We all as a parents, we want the best for our kids, and only God knows how they will turn out to be. And as a parents, whether what religion you believe in, you have that responsibility to provide to your kids. And you do everything. If they turn out otherwise, you done your responsibility as a parent. Is it left to the individual? Being there, just talking to them, how was your day? Or are you struggling with maths? You'll be able to go to the school and ask them, is there any extra support and stuff for my child? Because I think he's struggling this, and for me as a parent, I'm not able to do it. And with that communication, if you have that good communication with your kids, they'll be able to bring those issues to you. They will not fear to come to you, say, Mom, you know what, I'm struggling with this. Can you help me with this? And then as a parent, as I said to you, you have to interact with your kids and involve in what they're doing, not just dropping them at the school and then picking them up. And when they say, okay, the school report, oh, you haven't done well, you need to be doing
but that's the culture that we come from. It's more a thing of like, you as the child, this is your responsibility, and me as the parent, this is my responsibility. So I've brought you into this world to this level. Now I expect you to take up the responsibility and then just go with it. I do the rest. I work, I come home, and and I've given you the responsibility. And for me, I also think it's more of a cultural thing. Where you come from definitely is an influence. The family you come from as well, it's even a bigger influence, because everybody has their tradition, and this is how my brothers did it, my great grandparents, and all of that stuff.
Time has changed. Times have changed.
Now that's what you don't want to tell to an African parent. Time has changed. It's true.
Look at the media.
True.
If you look at 5 years ago, the way the media is now and 5 years ago is different. As me and you, we know back in the days, we don't see any internet, we don't see anything. And now if you don't bring up, as I said to you, your kids properly, as a parent, if they're into trouble, you still get worried.
You too.
You know, even though it's not your fault, you still get worried. So, and sometimes having a good role model in the family, you know, is very important, because they'll have someone to look up to. Because, you know, just working and not doing anything for yourself, try to improve yourself. There's certain people here, they'll come here, bring up their kids. When they grow up a little bit, they go and, you know, further their education to say, you know what, I didn't have the chance to do it when I was young. Now I need to do it, you know, at least to show your kids. I didn't have the opportunity, but now I'm trying to better myself. The reason why I had a setback was because of you. I was trying to be the best mom I can, because we all know each and every one of us are different.
True.
We are all different, so we all have different needs.
True.
And just recognizing that needs is the very important part of bringing your kids properly.
And what you the point? Sorry, you go on,
I
Karen.
also wanted to add on what she was saying regarding bringing up our kids, and because of the media and the rules and so on in this country. For me, I don't like to hear that, in a sense that I've got two lovely boys, and one thing I know, my eyes do the talking when I'm outside. He's only 2.5, and then the other one is 1 year. And when they're doing something wrong outside, I use my eyes. That means you better correct yourself. Because there are rules set there, does not mean I have to let my child, because look at all those important people like the ministers, prime ministers. Do you see their kids behaving that way? No. They set the rules, but what are they doing that's different? And then we come from Africa and we say, oh, we can't beat our child. We can't. I'm not saying beat your child, but there are some disciplines that you have to set in.
So it starts from when your child is growing up. I mean, that's the thing. When a child comes into a family, I believe they watch and they see how the mom and dad conducts themselves, and they know, okay, this is what it is for us in our home, so this is how I'm supposed to conduct myself. I mean, there's somebody who inspires me all the time, and he always talks about the royal family. When you look at the royal family, every child that's born into the royal family is trained how to be royal, how to act royal, because it's who they are. You know, they teach them how to eat with, you know, all those silverwares and all of that stuff. When they're out on the streets, they know how to walk, they know how to conduct themselves, they know who they are, so they behave in that manner. And I think that is what we lack nowadays a lot. You know, children are just brought into this world, and they sometimes, and I'm sorry, but I have to blame the young people. It's hard, but I have to, because we have to take responsibility. We can't just always say, oh, but my mom and my dad and my this and my that. And I say that because from my own experience, and for a lot of people that I have also come in contact with who have also had this issue, either they've been thrown out of homes and they're homeless, and you know, their parents don't care whether they're studying, they're not studying, whatever. Their parents just feel like, okay, I've brought you into this world, so here's the world. The world is your oyster. Take it and just jump on any bus, jump on any train, and carry on with your life. But then you, as a young person, where do you want to go?
But that's the thing, though. That's it, though. Exactly.
Yeah, but before you get to that stage, where we thank God that we had the opportunity to sit down and say, hold on, this life is not what we know. But then what about those people that don't know the difference between? Because obviously you need to inject it in them from when they're young and then growing up and so on. So if you are, let's say, 14 in this country, you can't compare a 14-year-old girl in Africa that was brought up in Africa to make up that decision, because they're completely different. Their mentality is different. So at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. Because when I gave birth the first time, my first son, I was thinking, oh my God, as a mother, there is a lot I owe that child, regardless of what that child would turn out to be. At least I know I have done my best.
But that's because of your experience as an individual. So you knew that you wanted something different for your kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So what about those kids that have been brought up and left at that stage, maybe 11, 16-year-old, and they don't know? For instance, you start making friends. Maybe your parents throw you out. You have friends that are addicted to one thing or another. What do? You don't have anywhere to go. You're not strong in your faith. You haven't seen any better or role model in your life. How are you going to make that decision at that particular time?
But now we just spoke about media, the media influence, and how things have changed and generations, time has changed. If as a young person you didn't have that support as a young person, let's say you never knew that, I personally would say there are lots of inspirational things that are being shown on the media. Although the big media would show all the, the not so motivating, empowering, good aspects of life. But these are areas where people can also tap in. Like Jenny was saying, if you are not doing very well in school and your parents can't help you, make the teacher your best friend, because that will help you. But it's been an interesting conversation, and we'll definitely go to another level when we come back. But we just have to take a quick break, and we'll see you when we get back.
Are you worried about sending or receiving money worldwide? Satisfied with your current money transfer service provider? Or just need a safe, secure and fast money transfer service? Yaye Instant Services is here for you. We send money to the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana and many more countries worldwide. Contact us today 020-8221-4538 or 079-309-57076 or online www.yaye.co.uk. Like or follow us on Facebook and Twitter. With Yaye Instant Services, you are guaranteed better rates, fast delivery and the very best service experience. Yaye Instant Services Limited. Reliable, affordable and instant.
Association of Nottingham under the sponsorship of Approved Services Limited. The Nottingham Gambian Cultural Weekend in Nottingham is slated for Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th of March 2015. It's going to be a grand tanabir with Medunjai and the group. Zimba by Lion Babundao, drama by Amie, Jawo and Sambanjai. There will be a fashion parade, Samba Soho, Manyo Bito, music by other artists and Fabakari Touray. The family fun day with the kids is on the Sunday the 29th of March. There will be a lunch on sale and many more. Contact the following numbers for more information. Jawo on 078-778-75393, Isatufai on 077-9675-7903, Sona Job on 079-308-12329, Nabu on 078-477-61620, Yamufai on 078-2746-379 and Emajata on 079-301-09700. The Nottingham Gambian Cultural Weekend in Nottingham on Saturday the 28th and Sunday the 29th of March 2015. Don't miss it.
Proudly sponsored by Approved Services Limited and supported by InterFace Gambia.
The Gambia, smiling coast of Africa, land of all year-round sunshine. Over the years, the number of tourists traveling to the Gambia has doubled, and so has investment. Approved Services Limited has now introduced an excellent traveler money transfer service. that enables you to travel to the Gambia cash-free. Approved Services Limited, helping you travel with cash without the need to carry it on you. Log on to approvedservices.co.uk to register and let us help you avoid the known risk related to traveling with cash. In the meantime, enjoy an Ebola-free destination with sandy beaches, meet friendly people, and experience a unique travel experience with a peace of mind. The Gambia, smiling coast of Africa.
Thank you and welcome back to Youth Ablaze with InterFace Gambia, showing on BenTV. If you're just joining us, InterFace Gambia has basically created this program called Youth Ablaze to inspire and empower young people in our generation into how to motivate themselves into good works. We have just been discussing about young people and who should take the responsibilities for our actions and the circumstances in which we find ourselves in. And during the break we had a very interesting discussion, one that hopefully one day we will get to put on air or discuss it even further, but we'll just get back to you. I just want to hear a little bit from you, Jenny. I know we spoke a lot during the break, but we would like to hear your thoughts on where your stand is on this particular topic, and if you wanted to share any experiences that you personally as an individual have been through.
Well, as I was saying, is the individual to blame, because like your parents are not with you 24/7. Because I know when I was in college, if it's secondary school and primary school, that's understandable, but with college and university and certain things, like your parents are not allowed to know certain information without you being there. Like if you would, some kids I know in my class would change, like if they said there was a parents evening, they're going to send letters, they would change their home address, they would change their phone numbers. If they were to contact their parents, they'll be calling their friends, and then their friends will talk as their parents. So it's not all about parents being blamed. At the end of the day, like, you're gonna go out there by yourself to achieve things by yourself. Your parents are not gonna be with you. So learn for yourself, try to fend for yourself now, because like you're all on your own when it comes to that. When you go out there, you're all on your own.
I think I'm beginning to kind of put together where we're all coming from, and I think it works best to put it this way, that it is important for the parents to be involved in the lives of their children, and also society has something to do with it. Every part, parents, society, and you as the individual have something to do with it. But where I come from is that when society is not doing what they have to do, and your parents are not doing what they have to do, because in this country we know that there are a lot of kids who are in foster care, who their parents don't even know what they're doing, how they're living, because probably them as a parent, they felt like they didn't know how to take care of their kids, or they didn't want to take up the responsibility. So therefore a lot of kids are in foster care, and they don't know, okay, the one thing about having a family or having a parent being there and all of that stuff. So even though when they do get transferred to other families, they tend to not kind of get the connection or the idea of how a child is supposed to be, or how a young person is supposed to be. But I still strongly stand on the fact that even with all of that, I'm sorry, I think this is just me, even with all of that, you must have come across somebody who one way or another inspires you, or one way or another would have shared an experience with you. Because let's say,
I'm not cutting you, Joyce, yeah? But I mean, as you said, you're passionate about that. For me personally as well, I think it's the parent, because the thing is, if you haven't been brought up into a good role model, you haven't seen like the family around you, they're not really good role models. There's no one to aspire you, or when you're at home,
motivate you.
there's nothing to, you know, to say, okay then, oh, I want to be like my dad, or I want to be like my mom or my aunt. Where are you going?
But maybe where I look at it is that, for me, when I have my kids, I would want them to have a better life. So I think I take the blame out of parents and society, because I'm looking at the generation that I'm bringing. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, if I want to bring up a better generation, then I have to make sure that even though I didn't have that investment in terms of family and society, I have to then take up the whole responsibility as an individual and make sure I walk on a path that when my generation starts coming up, they then would then have that family involvement, they then would have that society involvement, they then will have that individual involvement. I think that's where I'm looking at it from. Not that I don't think your point about parents and society is important. It is.
Times has changed.
But you just answered the question itself. What she's saying is just what you said. Making sure you have taken that responsibility as a parent, even though you are not blaming the parents. But at the end of the day, we thank God that you were able to exactly. Yeah, but there's some people that
not everyone is not everyone is fortunate like that,
where they don't see anything good.
And I guess that's why we're doing this kind of programs, to kind of help people, you know. Go on, Jenny.
Just the bit where you say kids in foster care. I remember when I was in year 6, and the first thing they gave us was how to contact Childline and emergency. Like, they were like to us, if your mom wants to do anything to you, make sure you call the Childline. And that's how it end up in foster care. They think they promise you. No, they.
Some parents who have harmed their own kids, and in a way of those kids, you have to protect them because they're innocent. That's what we're saying. It's all about like the parent doing their job properly. If you do your job properly, you don't need to go.
Well, you see,
some kids fall into the trap because what they promise you. They promise you. You see, if you come with us, we will do this for you. We will do that for you. And then exactly. And then when you get there, you
make sure they see.
Yeah, but that's why
you give them that opportunity.
No, if your mom's talking to you, like, you have to do your homework. You think, oh no, she's been a bad parent. As a child, you don't know that's the good way. Like, no, mom, you're too hard on me. Let me go to, get a social worker, get this. That's what happens. Like, don't think it's because even the mom could be a good parent by training your kids, but they don't like the way you're training them, so they're gonna go get the social worker on you.
It depends on what relationship you have with your child. We all grow up in a different way.
It's the foundation.
That's what I said.
It's the foundation. It's the foundation.
I can still sit down at home when I'm doing my worship in the morning. My son is doing the drum. We're doing the dance. When music come up, we'll be doing the dance. So you're involved in it as much as he knows. He knows that, okay, this is the red light. I'm not supposed to do this. But he also knows that I can play with mommy. I can have fun with mommy. Do you understand?
You've known because of your experience. Yeah.
But you have brought yourself to that point where you're like, your children need to feel that involvement. They need to feel like my mom is there. And that's where my point is. I know not everybody is privileged enough to have that strength within them to say, you know what, some people fall apart. I mean, I have weaknesses that when people probably hear it, they'll be like, seriously, girl, like that could have just taken me, a snap of a finger to just deal with it. And it's understandable. We all have areas where we are weak in and areas where we are strong in. But like you've just said, you're involved with your children. When you're doing what you're doing, your child is there also joining you, or you get them involved. You make family time for them. You spend time with them. You make them know that mom and dad are here for you. We love you. We care about you. This is how we relate. So your children understand that from a very young age.
That's what it is. That's the point. From when they are born, you don't say, oh, he's 11 months, therefore you can't start.
My point goes back to, you didn't have all of that. No. But you were able to then
because society has changed. You have to change and go with time. Because the thing, if you say you're going to
But that's the thing, society has changed.
But that's the thing. Most of the parents has gone with society and ended up doing the wrong thing.
Society, because what you've just said is, for instance, someone coming from that place where they didn't have it. Some people will continue with that tradition and take it on to their kids and generation to come.
Definitely.
So it's also after a while an individual choice where you decide what.
Then it comes down to the individual.
That's what we agreed, but we're saying that without a foundation, there is no building to stand on. That's what we're saying.
We are agreeing that without a foundation, it's hard to start up. But then it all comes down to the individual, because even if your parents invest in you, even if it's because, again, just we said from the beginning of the show, there are some kids where their parents have invested time, money, effort, everything inside of them. It's a small percentage, but then some of them still comes out like they don't have parents.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, that's a small percentage. If you look at the whole overall picture, a lot have a good foundation of like the family, good family homes. They've like had a good education. Because when you're 16, as you were saying, when you go to college, 16, you're starting to become an adult.
Yes.
You're starting taking your own responsibility. Whatever you did then is your own choices. You will not blame your parents.
Some people get excluded from school at the age of 13 and they're going to college. What happens to them?
No, but that's why at the age of 13, that's your parents. You can talk to your child. That's what I said to you. If you have that good relationship, you don't know what's the problem with your child. If you come home today, you've been excluded, I'll ask you, what's your problem? You know, if you're not getting enough support, or as a parent, what am I doing that's not really helping you?
So when at 13, that's when kids hit puberty and they don't want nothing to do with it.
We all went through that puberty. No matter. We all went through that puberty, but it's just getting that support. I've got nieces, I've got like nephews. We talk. You know, like sometimes you need to talk to young people and know, okay, what's their problem? What can we do to help them? You need to do what kids want to do, not always what adults want. Sometimes we forget about the kids' needs.
That's true, but and again, there is a line, because you have the young people that when you offer them the help would then say, I accept it, and no matter how hard it is, they might fall back, but then they will come again. They will fall back again, they will come again. I have mentored a young girl who, I mean, it's like you're knocking at a brick wall, literally. She will fall back, but she knows that, you know what, I want to change, and she will come back. Now you have the other ones where they're like, okay, this is how I am, this is how I've been brought up, this is what I know, and so I'm just going to stick to that road and then just carry on. I mean, this discussion is a very deep and interesting conversation, and I think we're definitely going to do this again. We would continue this conversation again on the next program and just get more, because I think we've just touched just on the surface. But now I would like to give you guys the opportunity to just encourage somebody out there who's watching. If you could just tell us about where you started from, where you are now, where you aim to be, and you know, some of the challenges that you might have faced, and some of the battles that you have overcome, and just encourage somebody. So we'll start with.
For me personally, I have come, you know, from far, because I didn't go to school till when I was 9 years old. Because as the Fuller and the Fuller tribe, you know, they'll say, oh, girls will get married and have to look after the husband and the kids. All my siblings and my brother, like my sister, older sister, went to school. I was the only one who haven't been to school.
Wow.
But because I was interested, when my younger brothers were like being studied and stuff, I always like concentrate and stuff. And then the person who was their teacher noticed that I was interested and I was bright enough to go to school. Then he persuaded my elder sister to be able to take me to school. I went into school 3 years later than my age group.
Yes.
And then from there, I've been like the brightest among my family. And today, I was the one who haven't been to school. I'm the only one who graduated university in my family.
Wow.
You know, came here 16 with my sisters. I was working, studying, and doing, you know, in England, as we all know, you have to take your own responsibility, work to support yourself. And then today, Alhamdulillah, I would say, I'm graduated, I'm working in the hospital where I love to work. And as I say, if you want to do something, hard work and determination and good support, you will get where you want to be.
Amazing, amazing. That is really good. Caroline.
Right. For me, it's a long story, so I'll just try and cut it short. I went to school on time because my dad was fortunate enough to have money at that time, and but where I found it difficult was because I didn't feel that I had that involvement from both parents. So I was always lacking something that I couldn't communicate. Anyway, so I came here at a young age and started studying. Bullying started happening in and out, and I started fighting. I think my dad didn't understand that, because one thing that African parents also do is to compare their children amongst themselves. Like, for instance, if you know my sisters, you will know that we're all different. We're completely different. So they didn't understand why this girl would be the one to go and fight and come back, but they didn't know I was fighting for my way. Because I would go and they would try and introduce me to things that I didn't know, I didn't want to accept. So therefore I get bullied, and I would not accept bullying, as tiny as I was. So I would fight back and then come home, report. So reports after reports, my dad decided, look, you're going back home. That way you would learn some lessons. So I went back home. For that 11 months was even tougher, because I got there with this, wearing short skirt and things, and then society thinking, oh my God, she's a bad girl. She's doing things that she shouldn't do. And even up to a point where my parents started believing that, especially my dad thought that I was involved in certain things that I knew nothing about. So after a while, he got tired from there and sent me back here. So coming back here again, you can already see I've missed some time in school because I'm not even there. So when I came back, it was really, I've lost time. Countries are different, everything is different. So I felt, left back. And then they're always comparing us with my sister, who is very, well behaved. And then I've got a cousin that's, she's brilliant in school, she's brilliant. So it's like, why can't you be like this? Why can't you be like that? So after a while, I think misunderstanding came in the family, and then I was asked to leave at 16. At 16, I tried to fend. I'm out there with friends and so on, moving from one place to another. But by the grace of God, at one point I met this set of people, and I just saw what, the lifestyle was and everything. But in that meantime, I was supposed to go to school, but my sister was around, so I had to start working in hospital, working as a, cleaner. And the same time I worked in Lewisham, Primark and all those things. So I would come home, so I couldn't. So she went to school instead, and now she's graduated and everything. But after a while, God opened my way. I got married to the most wonderful man. And going back to his pressurizing me to go back to school. I've just been offered 9-to-5 job, and I'm also doing business with my husband. He has a business, and that we're running together as a family and everything. And also I did a little bit of modeling and so on, but I had to stop that because we go back to that topic. I had to stop that and focus on my family, on my children. I don't want to have to be away, just like my father was, and then missing something. So both me and my husband, we walk around our kids, making sure that we're there as parents. And also one thing I wanted to add is, being a parent is sort of, I don't want to use gamble, because as Christians we don't believe in gamble. It's sort of a gamble, do you understand? Because it's not about, okay, I want to bring this child up and then this child should pay me back, and so no, it's about making sure you bring that child on the right foundation, and when they grow up, it's up to them whether they want to look after you, but your reward is from God. That is the thing. You're not looking at any man or anybody. You make sure. Kids are different. My two boys, they're completely different. So I can't start comparing this one from that one. I just make sure I do my best with you. When I finish with you, I'm doing my best with this one. And then when you grow up, God will bless you the way he wants to bless you, and then you move on. But comparing children is just one of our downfall as parents, because I myself went through it. They compared me all the way to the best of my lovely, beautiful cousin. She's smart and everything, and they always compare me. But I am different. Today, thank God, At 16, I was out there. If I didn't make the right decisions, I won't be someone's wife. I won't be a mother that I am today. And I won't be running a business, especially now, going back to work 9 to 5. Yes. So that is it.
That is it. And Jenny?
Well, what I just want to say to you guys, individual youth out there, it's never give up. No matter how hard it gets, no matter what you've been through, you might say, oh my God, they're bullying me, it's too much. Never give up. Like, that's all I can say, because life, there's a lot you gotta learn. There's still a lot you gotta learn. It's a long journey. Like, I started offending at the age of 13. Not that my mom couldn't provide, she could, but as a young person, you got to do some stuff to get where you want to be, and it's not easy. It's good stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. Nothing bad. It's good stuff, and it's not like you're gonna wake up one morning and be like, how do you think you guys that say I want to be like Rihanna, I want to be like Beyonce, how do you think she got there? She didn't get there by sleeping. She didn't get there by like just looking at her teacher, cussing at her teachers, getting excluded from school. No, she made sure she got the education, she got whatever she needed to get where she is. So make sure you listen in school. Don't be getting excluded. Make sure you listen. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I didn't misbehave. Sometimes I do regret what I did in school, but you have the opportunity. If you're listening, that's your choice. If you don't want to listen, that's your choice. That's all I have to say. You will share more later.
Thank you so much, lady, for joining me here. I mean, it's been an interesting conversation. I am speechless, lost for words. I myself, I don't know what to say at this point in time, but young people, really be encouraged yourself. If you find yourself going down the wrong path, stop and think. It's always good to stop and think, not act and then think. Always stop and think. Until we see you next time, we would like to hear from you also. If you have any questions, you can send us emails at info@interfacegambiatv.com, and we would love to hear your feedbacks and anything that you have to say or to contribute to this program. But we would definitely, as I said earlier on, revisit this topic again on a different occasion. So thank you and have a good evening.
From the day that I told her negative, I swear to God everything goes jammerate. From the fan, the jail till the tapele. Her morals good and she speaks good Angale. The mbuga rek da fanje kalache. She smells good and she's always looking perfect. She has the looks of a queen and the heart of an empress. I need you in my life, and I want you by my side, 'cause you always on my mind. She said that she loved me like she loved her dad. She swear she really means that. She said that she loved me like she loved her moms, and she swear she will never do me wrong. No matter where she goes, she must come back home. And this is the reason why I'm loving her so much. Good love is what you gave me, girl. And this is the reason why I'm staying around. I need you in my life, and I want you by my side, 'cause you're always on my mind. Namiso Jaiteh lekanu malano mansino no etelekanu. Hey, namiso Jaiteh lekanu. Amira nyawa nyande mansino no Jaiteh lekanu. I need you in my life, and I want you by my side, 'cause you're always on my mind. you. No way, girl, ain't nobody will touch you. I'm here to protect you with my African juju. Cause you too good and sweet like my African fufu. Take a close look at you. Girl, you're black and you're beautiful. Yep, see I'm a empress, loving and kindness. So now I want to do me bad, see I'm a greatest. Good love is what you give me, girl, and then it's on. I need you in my life, and I want you by my side, cause you're always on my mind.
Suma noppandi ndox baabu ak nova egg di si dox dëkk ak ku fiir nag du lu yomba comme fari promoter
mooy fii feel